Well, good morning, everybody. I am Keegan Sawyer. I am the director of the Standing Committee on the Use of Emerging Science. Use of emerging science for environmental health decisions. I am very, very pleased to have you all join us today and all of the people who are online. We're really excited about this workshop. This is our third workshop here in 2019. That's on artificial intelligence and machine learning. I'm going to start us off with a little bit about the Standing Committee, and then turn you over to my colleague here, Elizabeth Boyle, who will talk a little bit more about this workshop. So what we do, this Standing Committee has been around since 2008, so we're here 11 years. We explore all kinds of emerging new types of science, new types of technologies, and its implications, particularly for environmental health research. That's the effect of the environment on human health, and the decisions we make about environmental health. It is sponsored by the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. We've had a very fruitful, productive, interactive style workshop for all of this time. And we encourage you at this workshop too to also be engaged, be interactive, have lots of conversations, because that's what we're here for. This Standing Committee is looking at emerging science, particularly to help us become more prepared, to anticipate what's coming down the line. That could be disruptive for research. It could be really phenomenal and transform the ways that we make decisions based on research. So here are the members of the Standing Committee. This is a diverse group of experts. They range toxicology and epidemiology, social implications, or philosophy about the use of science. Some of them are practitioners. Some of them are users of the data. They're a really great group of people. They're all here in the room today for the most part, and I hope that you get to know them while you're here. Like I said, our work has spanned all kinds of topics. Artificial intelligence is just the latest of them. We have looked at emerging technologies in stem cells. We've looked at single cell and single molecule technologies that underlie the Human Cell Atlas work. We have looked at how fields that are traditionally separate are merged together, such as infectious diseases and environmental health. And if you have ideas that come up during the course of this workshop, we want to hear them, because the reason we've been here for so long is because of the ideas from people who come to our workshops, from our Standing Committee, and from the surrounding DC community who say, hey, there's this emerging trend that seems really important in environmental health research. I'd love to hear more about it at the Academies. And with that, I'm going to turn you over to my colleague, Liz Boyle. She has worked tirelessly with Ben Wender to organize this particular workshop. So thank you.
Thanks, Keegan. And thank you all for coming today. We've been planning this workshop for several months, and I just want to thank the Planning Committee who joined me on weekly conference calls to help shape this agenda and shape the workshop's goals and objectives. We're taking a little bit of a risk at this meeting with the afternoon session is going to be a hands-on interactive session, and so that's why these collaborative tables are here at the front, so that you guys can sit together and try out some machine learning that David Dunson and his students at Duke University have taken the time to put together this active learning session. So I really want to give, I thank all of our speakers for coming here today, but I think that's an extra effort to put that together because it's an hour and a half of time for the meeting. I also want to remind all of you to, be present and engaged, because this was a lot of work putting the whole meeting together. I think we all have lives and jobs and things that could pull our brains out of here today, but I think it's important because you took the time to come to this meeting to try to, pay attention to our speakers and interact during the discussions and things like that. So just some general housekeeping. Please silence your phones. Our workshops have a large attendance from the web, and so when you are speaking, it's important to use the microphone so that the people that are not present in this room can hear your questions. And we also invite you to be active in the discussions. And because this is a public meeting, we just want to remind you of that. So be kind when you exchange ideas. And be mindful that anything you say in this workshop, can be recorded, and that the ideas made during this workshop shouldn't be attributed to the organizations that the speakers work for. They should be attributed to the individual speakers. And they're not, the thoughts and ideas of this are not of the National Academy of Sciences. They're of the individual attendees. And so if you are a Twitter user, use the hashtag ESEHD workshop. And a summary of the workshop proceedings will be out later this year. So thank you. Now we have Melissa. Oh, and Melissa served on the planning committee, and she is the co-chair of the standing committee. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks very much, Liz. Artificial intelligence. What does it conjure up in your mind? First thing for me is 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think of HAL. I think of the intelligent machine. The intelligent machine that took on consciousness. That's the first thing that I think of. And then other images in popular media, science fiction, in motion pictures that have been a part of our experience in the last few decades. I think of Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger waking up with a remote control that raised his blinds, told him what time it was, told him what the weather was going to be, told him what the forecast was. I remember seeing that image and being bowled over. I also remember Minority Report when Tom Cruise had touch screens and he was moving images and icons around with his fingers. And I thought, wow, that was really mind-blowing as well. And as one famous science fiction writer is known to say, the future is here, it's just unevenly distributed. And so in so many ways, we're living all of those images that weren't that long ago. In so many ways, we have smart technologies everywhere. It's more ubiquitous than we could have ever expected. From our smart cars, John Vandenberg just explained that he was driving from North Carolina yesterday and his car was yelling at him, telling him that there were storms ahead, even though he just kept on plowing through. So we have smart cars that are speaking at us. We have smart speakers. We certainly have smartphones. We also have smart robo machines that are daunting us and nagging us and yelling at us to do things, including those continuous machine-generated emails in all of our inboxes that are asking us to review papers on topics I have never even heard of, never mind having the requisite expertise to be able to be a legitimate reviewer. So in so many ways, technology is very much part of our lives. And so this workshop is about, what does it mean for environmental health? What does it mean for toxicology, for environmental epidemiology, and especially, and this is what our committee does, for environmental health decision making. So this workshop, the organizers have worked really hard to set it up in a coherent way, in a rational way, to be embracing of the opportunities, to be open-minded, to ask, what do I have to do to retool my laboratory in order to take on or integrate artificial intelligence, machine learning opportunities? And also, what does it mean for data quality, validity, reliability, and also the word transparency? And that's been coming up in our regular meetings. The idea of many designers saying, I can come up with an algorithm, I can't tell you exactly how it works. So that's what we mean by transparency. So you'll see over the course of the next day and a half a logic and flow to these topics. They include, wanted to acknowledge the members of our planning committee, Kevin Elliott, Nicole Kleinstroer, Patrick McMullen, Gary Miller, Brahmar Mukherjee, Roger Peng, myself, and Reza Razapur all worked hard and met on a very regular basis to seek out experts in the field, folks that are on the cutting edge, that are blazing new terrain, new territory that many of us are unaware of. That's what our committee does. And so they have agreed to come here today and tomorrow to share their expertise, their ideas, what they're learning, and where we still need to go. I've set up the workshop topic, the objectives. Let's talk about the sessions. Opportunities for artificial intelligence and environmental health. This session will be moderated by Gary Miller. The panelists are Jason Moore, Rick Wojcik, and Brahmer Mukherjee. The whole purpose is to launch us, and we often use this format so that we bring folks in outside of environmental health to talk about how they're using artificial intelligence in their field, and then relating it, connecting it to environmental health and what are the opportunities. So that's our first session. Second is related to chemical hazard assessment, predicting poisons. Reza Razapur is the moderator, and we have Thomas Luchtfeld, Nicole Kleinstruer, Katrina Waters, and Marianthe Anna Komorts-Logu, who will be here to talk about chemical hazards and the toxicologic relevance of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Then we'll move on to epidemiology, and I'll be moderating that session. We'll hear from Raj Manri, Scott Weichenthal, and John Wamberg, who will talk to us about how we're using big data, big science, and getting a handle on data analysis as it relates to the data that are being generated via machine learning and artificial intelligence. Session 4 is hands-on. As Liz mentioned, we wanted to go into uncharted waters and actually give you an opportunity to experience some machine learning algorithms, to understand it firsthand, to really interact with it. And how we'll do that is laid out in your workbook. Hopefully you've all brought your laptops. And for those that are on webcast, you can do it from the comfort of your office or home. Roger Peng will lead us, and we'll have David Dunson, Kelly Moran, and Evan Poroznik, who will guide us through the applied learning, machine learning demonstration. Oh boy, yeah, this is really important. The social and ethical considerations of artificial intelligence. And we know many other scientific sectors that are exploring this. Many would say we're not moving fast enough. It's as though the technology moves much faster than our ability to even evaluate the social and ethical implications and the bioethics of our technology. And so this session is intentional in looking at that. Kevin Elliott will moderate that, and we'll hear from Alex London, Lance Waller, Alexander Tropsha, and Sorel Friedler, so that we can have a very wide-eyed view as to what are the implications, both reasons for skepticism as well as reasons for optimism. Session 6, this is the culmination of what we do, and that is panelists, hearing from environmental health decision makers, researchers that seek to inform environmental health decisions, and understanding what is the relevance. How do we extrapolate what we've just learned in the prior sessions into environmental health impact and policy decision making? And then Nicole Kleinstruer from NTP will lead us in that. We'll hear from Nadira Abru, Anna Lowett, Christy Pullen-Fednick, Charles Schmidt, and Reza Razapur. They'll all be member panelists on that session. That'll be tomorrow late morning. So with that, that is the layout for the next day and a half. It should prove innovative. It's intended to be stimulating. It's intended to be an anchor from which new ideas are generated, influencing your work, influencing new investigations and collaborations as well. With that, I'm excited to turn things over for session 1 and to Gary Miller.